What is up? It is time for me to give my breakdown and predictions for every single fight on this upcoming weekend's card. Derrick Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento. And I love this card. This is kind of similar to UFC 301. It's actually not that far off, but I absolutely love this card. This is a hardcore fan's favorite, all right? Because even though there aren't a lot of big names on this, a lot of these fighters are young. They have a lot of potential. They have bright futures. And there's a lot of good stylistic matchups, okay? There's a lot of interesting names. There's a lot of good battles that we're going to see. And it's good that this is also going to be in front of a crowd. Also, this is kind of a throwback main event. Derrick Lewis, Rodrigo Nascimento. Nascimento really has that like early 2010s Derrick Lewis victim type of thing going on. He kind of reminds me of, you know, the old dinosaurs of the heavyweight division. And he would be back in the day, you know, if you were to put this guy 20 years ago, he's probably a heavyweight champ. But in front of Derrick Lewis, it's going to be tough. So we're going to get into this. Of course, we are going to start from the bottom of the card. And I am going to break down every single fight. We're not missing a single one. All right. People say, Lucas, you missed some WMMA fights. We're not missing any of them. All right. And we went 10-1 last weekend. We're trying to go 11-0, 12-0, whatever would be undefeated on this one. But let's get into it. JJ Aldrich versus Veronica Hardy. I am picking Veronica Hardy. I'm a believer in Veronica Hardy. All right. Now, although she's not that dominant and she's not that dangerous, I think up until she fights someone that is, she's probably going to be able to win via fight IQ every single time. And I think she's looked pretty decent in her last few outings. She dominated Juliana Miller last year. She, since then has a win over Jamie Lynn Horth. She's 2 years younger than JJ Aldrich. I mean, JJ Aldrich is not old by any means, but I'm just really not that impressed with her. And I can always kind of bank on Veronica Hardy to have like a really good game plan because we know she's got the wizard in her corner. She's got Dan Hardy, the mastermind himself, who is incredibly invested in her career. And there's something to be said about that. There is something to be said about Dan Hardy being invested in Veronica Hardy's career. We know that he is. And I just know that they're getting into all the JJ Aldrich tape. They're looking at all the idiosyncrasies of her game. And Veronica is also very well-rounded. She's got good jiu-jitsu. She's got decent striking. And I think that that well-roundedness is going to get her the win. I'm going to pick Veronica Hardy by decision. I think she's going to be the smarter fighter in there. I think they'll probably come up with a really good game plan for this. So let's get on to the next one. Jared Gooden versus Kevin Jousset. This is a big bump up for Jared Gooden, okay? Now, he has a good win over Wellington Turman. Before that, I mean, it was really tough for this guy to even get a win in the UFC, but this is a really decent striker that he's taken on in Kevin Jousset. He's kind of like a poor man's Adesanya right now. Now, he's very green in his UFC career, so he could improve. But when I watch this guy strike, I'm really seeing shades of Adesanya. Okay, I'm seeing someone move exactly like him, feint exactly like him. And even if he's not on Izzy's level, although he's not that far off, I'm just joking. Even if he's not on Izzy's level, even if he's not necessarily putting everyone away, he did get a submission over Kiefer Crosby, which was nice, but going to show that he's kind of well-rounded. I think he is going to be able to play the pitter-pat game from the outside, kick Jared Gooden's legs, keep him at range. He really did hold Song Kanan to, a pretty big strike differential. He landed a lot of strikes in that one. So I'm going to go with Kevin Jousset playing the long, rangy man's striking game to get himself a long, rangy win. All right, so Kevin Jousset by decision. Gooden has like a really good chin, so I don't think he's going to get finished. Right? I think that there's a chance that Kevin Jousset can maybe submit him or something like that, but Jared Gooden's one of these weird guys where he gets rocked, but he never gets put away, never gets put to sleep. So I don't think Kevin Jousset's going to finish him, but I'm going to pick him by a 30-27 clean sweep. Let's get on to the next one. Charles Johnson versus Jake Hadley. I had a lot of faith in Jake Hadley. Man, I was picking this guy to beat, what's his name? I'm forgetting his name. Cody Durden. The last fight, Jake Hadley had like 1 million submission attempts, but he let me down. It was a close fight in the third round. I think he was down 2 rounds to 1, arguably. Things were sort of close. He was getting minorly outstruck, but then, the submission attempts could have counted for something. And he didn't let his hands go. And instead, he resorted to grappling. And that was the thing that just wasn't working for him. And I'm worried that Jake Hadley isn't going to be able to fight as smart as he needs to beat a crafty vet in Charles Johnson, who, although has had a lot of close fights and he's lost a lot of them, it's not like he's just getting blown out of the water. Coming off of a win over Azat Maxim, he did get hurt. He got dropped, arguably 10-8'd in the first round. I thought that should have been a draw, to be honest. I don't even think he necessarily won that fight, but he did. He got the win on paper. But I think I'm going to go with Charles Johnson by decision. Okay, I think that Jake Hadley, if he doesn't get the big body shot TKO like he got on Malcolm Gordon, if Charles Johnson doesn't sit in the pocket where Jake Hadley's going to have the slight power advantage, I think that Charles Johnson's the smarter fighter. He has a lot of experience. Jake Hadley, again, not letting his hands go in the third round of his last fight. I don't know, man. I'm going to go with Charles Johnson by decision. I wasn't liking his last performance in Jake Hadley. Let's get on to the next one. Billy Goff versus Trey Waters. Billy Goff's good. He's scrappy. He's entertaining to watch. But I just don't think he's going to be able to have an easy time finding his way on the inside of Trey Waters, who has like a crazy height advantage. Trey Waters is listed at 6'5". Billy Goff, 5'10". So right off the bat, like Billy Goff, even though his game is getting on the inside of his opponents, dirty boxing and whatnot, it's going to be real difficult to make that work. And I've seen Trey Waters hold people off at range that have a similar style to Billy Goff. For example, Josh Quinlan. He beat Josh Quinlan, held him at range pretty easily. He's got decent output as well. And I just think that Billy Goff, yes, he's coming off of a TKO finish, but it was a very close fight. He was getting lit up in that fight too. He lands a body shot. His opponent goes down. When it comes to body shot TKOs, I have to see you consistently showing great body punches, like great body shots, in order for me to think that that is something that's going to happen often. Sometimes you just catch your opponent in the right place and they go down. Maybe it's not the most calculated setup punch to try to put them down with a body shot. Maybe got a little bit lucky. I'm not saying that it was a lucky thing that he got the finish. I'm just saying, it's not like he took his opponent's head off with like the pitch perfect combination that was set up perfectly. All right. Either way, Billy Goff is good. He's tough. He's got a fun style to watch, but I just think that he's going to get held off at range a little bit in this one against Trey Waters, who is a real good outside fighter. He throws a lot of kicks, has a decent jab. I'm trusting in Trey Waters to get this one done by decision. Let's get on to the next one. Tabatha Ricci versus Tecia Pennington. Easy pick. I'm going with Tabatha Ricci. All right, she's stronger. She is a lot younger. I don't know how young Tecia Pennington is, but she's with Raquel Pennington. And Raquel Pennington ain't, she's not a spring chicken. All right? Raquel Pennington seems a little bit old. Tecia Pennington seems a little bit older. I'm going to go with the younger, stronger, Paulo Costa lookalike Tabatha Ricci. All right, I think she's going to get this one done. She has a good ground game too. I think she's going to win this fight on the ground by decision. So let's get on to the next one. Terrance McKinney versus Esteban Ribovics. This is interesting because Terrance McKinney is just not consistent at all. And he had that long loss streak where he got flatlined a bunch of times. But he's coming off of 2 wins, not over the best opponents. Esteban Ribovics, pretty good. Decent striker, decent boxing, decent power. It just depends on how Terrance McKinney goes out in this fight. If he's just going to slug for the fences, there's always a chance he's going to get caught, and he's been put away a lot. He's been knocked out quite a bit in his career, and so it's a little bit worrisome to think about him getting hit against a guy like Esteban Ribovics, who does have some good power, but I am going to pick Terrance McKinney because he can mix in the grappling. We know he has some pretty good submissions. We know he has decent wrestling. And if this guy goes out there with a smart game plan to stick behind his 1-2s, and he has the reach advantage as well, we know that Terrance McKinney carries some serious power in his hands. We know that he's fast. He was dropping Drew Dober in the first round. He knocked out Matt Frivola early in their fight. He's coming off of 2 great wins back-to-back. I think that we could see like a updated Terrance McKinney who's more defensively minded, who's not going to take as many risks. This is a bump up in competition from McKinney's last opponent, so it is a little bit worrisome. Again, because Esteban is dangerous. But I am going to trust Terrance McKinney to get this one done. I'm going to trust Terrance McKinney to win this one via first round KO or submission. I think either way, we're going to see Terrance McKinney get a finish in the first round. Maybe he lands a nice right hand on the chin of Esteban Ribovics. Maybe he takes him down and kind of overwhelms him on the ground. I think he's going to have the strength advantage as well. So I'm going to go with Terrance McKinney. I just think that Esteban Ribovics hasn't really proven himself enough to be able to fend off this kind of punching power and wrestling threat early on. So I'm going to trust in Terrance McKinney to pull this one off by a first round finish. Let's get on to one of the most exciting fights on this card. This is like a stylistic dream matchup because it's going one or two ways. Either Chase Hooper twists Slava Claus into a pretzel, or Borshchev knocks Chase Hooper's head out of the arena. All right, there's no in between. I don't see this fight going to decision. I think Chase Hooper embarrasses Viacheslav, or Viacheslav embarrasses Chase Hooper. Okay? And I was really tempted to pick Chase Hooper. Very tempted, but I am going to go with Viacheslav Borshchev after watching his last fight against Nazim Sadikov, where Nazim is a guy that has good wrestling. He likes to mix in the takedowns, but I was very surprised by Viacheslav's takedown defense and his ability to get up to his feet. Okay? Now, Nazim Sadikov is not on the same level as a submission threat as Chase Hooper, but he's a decent wrestler. He's much stronger and bigger than Chase Hooper. He's probably someone that has better wrestling takedowns than Chase Hooper, but Viacheslav stuffed those takedowns easily. The only time we would really see Viacheslav on the ground outside of one takedown in the third round against Nazim was when he got hurt, wobbled, and dropped. That was it. Other than that, he got taken down once, but he stuffed a bunch of takedowns. He's at a wrestling-heavy gym with Uriah Faber where, you know, that's like one of the things that everyone's just training consistently, takedown defense, wrestling. Chase Hooper's way to win this fight is to get it to the ground. And there is something to be said about Chase Hooper. Now that he's at 155 pounds, his chin is better. He doesn't have to cut all that weight. And he did look really good in the striking against Nick Fiore. I think he broke some kind of a 3-round lightweight record in that fight for the most strikes landed in a 3-rounder at lightweight, which is crazy. But Nick Fiore gassed out early. He doesn't have anywhere close to the same experience as Viacheslav Borshchev. And he just, you know, he's trash compared to Viacheslav Borshchev when it comes to the footwork, man. He's just not moving around. He's a sit and duck. He doesn't have the same kind of speed and power. I'm going with Viacheslav Borshchev. This guy, he's got some of the best boxing combinations in the UFC. He's got great kicks, good knees up the middle. The uppercuts are nasty. Like, that's another thing that Viacheslav has. He's got some of the best uppercuts in the UFC. And I just think the speed difference is going to be nuts. All right. I think that it's going to be hard to take down Viacheslav. He's a big, strong lightweight, and he's got a lot of experience. Chase Hooper beating the Monkey King. I forget his name. Jordan Levitt. Beating Jordan Levitt. It's just, you know, Jordan Levitt accepted the ground game. It was basically a jiu-jitsu match for 3 minutes long. This ain't going to be like that. Viacheslav is going to do everything in his power to stay up to his feet. And, yeah, I don't think Chase Hooper gets the submission. He doesn't have the best wrestling. If he can get Viacheslav down in the first round, I think he will be able to finish him, but I just don't think he is. I think that Viacheslav is going to crack him early, wobble him, and knock him out. So I'm going to go with Viacheslav Borshchev by first round KO. Let's get on to the next one. The question that's relevant in this matchup is, how long does Waldo Cortes the Pipsqueak Acosta survive? It's not a matter of can he win. We know he can't win this matchup unless he wrestles. Unless his whole training camp has been spent on wrestling, he's not winning this matchup, okay? Waldo's fast. He's a little bit sneaky, but he's a middleweight. All right, let's not forget that. This guy hits like a middleweight. He's not a natural heavyweight. He's kind of fast, but he doesn't have pop. And we kind of saw that against Andrei Arlovski, dude. He looked like the faster guy against Arlovski. He was landing lots of shots on Arlovski, not hurting him, not affecting him at all. But he was acting like he was. This guy was out here emoting on Arlovski, staring him down in between rounds like he was like in a world title fight or some shit. You know, you have to have more awareness than that. You're in there with a UFC legend. You're acting like you're beating the shit out of them as if this is the, you know, next level showing performance. I'm on another level. It was not another level. It was a very close fight, and I think Robelis Despaigne finishes him when he lands the first clean kick or punch to the chin. All right? It doesn't even need to be that clean. Could just be like 70% clean, grazing even. But I do think Waldo Cortes Acosta is going to survive more than Josh Parisian. You know, God bless Josh Parisian, because he went out there and he tried everything in his power to impose his will, and he went out on his shield. That's what you have to do with Robelis. You have to go for the finish instantly, because you can't just be out here on the outside with a fighter like Robelis Despaigne with the bronze medal that he has in Taekwondo in the Olympics. Like, you're eventually going to get messed up. You either have to shoot a takedown instantly, or you have to go for the KO instantly to try to shock Robelis or kind of catch him off guard. I think Waldo Cortes Acosta isn't going to do that, all right? I don't think he's going to wrestle. I don't think he's going to go for the KO instantly. I think that this guy is going to be in and out, in and out, in and out. He's going to be playing the smart game, and I just don't think he's good enough to beat Robelis Despaigne by that. At the end of the day, Waldo Cortes Acosta is fast. Robelis is faster, all right? Waldo Cortes is sneaky. Robelis is sneakier, and Robelis can land from across the octagon based on him having the longest reach in UFC history. He's like 6'7", Olympic Taekwondo medalist. Cortes Acosta, he hits like a middleweight, all right? This guy has middleweight power. He is a middleweight in a heavyweight's body. He's a middleweight trying to be a heavyweight, and I think he's going to get slumped. So I'm going to give him 1 minute, all right? I think Waldo Cortes Acosta has at least 55 seconds in him before he gets caught with something and put to sleep. I don't think anyone's really going to be giving this guy, Robelis Despaigne, issues up until he hits the top 5. So let's get on to the next one. Deigo Ferreira versus Mateusz Rebecki. Mateusz Rebecki is going to demolish Deigo Ferreira, who's taking this fight on short notice. All right, this was supposed to be against Joel Alvarez, which, you know, in my opinion, would have been a better fight, but if this wasn't on short notice, maybe this actually would have been better, because Deigo Ferreira is more proven than Joel Alvarez, right? He's a tough out. We know he's good on the ground. We know that he's giving guys fits on the ground all the time. He's got good submissions. He's got some decent power in his hands. He's got a lot of experience, but he's getting older. Mateusz Rebecki in his prime, and Rebecki's just an issue. Fuck, I can't even stick to the same name. I'm going to call him Rebecki. Mateusz Rebecki has insane grappling. All right, he's got great takedowns. He's got submissions. He's got ground and pound. And as soon as he gets people to the ground, like, he's actively trying to put them away. He's actively trying to get a submission. He's good at arm bars. He's good at kimuras. He's good at getting rear naked chokes. He's got a perfect style to get people to the mat. He's really good at pressuring people to the cage, kicking the shit out of their legs. He's got amazing kicks. And, you know, kind of throwing big power shots upstairs to get them to bring their hands up so he can shoot a takedown. Just a very good, systematic approach to the fight game. And I think that even if he doesn't get this fight to the mat, which, again, he might not even try, because that might be the path of most resistance, I think in the striking battle, Mateusz Rebecki, I think he's going to blow through Deigo Ferreira. Now, if Ferreira lands a good shot on the chin of Rebecki, I'm noticing I'm just saying this guy's name in 5 different ways. If he lands a good shot on the chin of Rebecki, he could put him away. But I don't think that that's that likely. We don't really see a whole lot of Deigo Ferreira KOs. The last one was against Michael Johnson. If he doesn't land something or get a submission out of nowhere in the first round, I think Rebecki is going to break him, drown him, and he's got a good gas tank too. He's on a full training camp. Diego's not. So if anything, the longer this fight goes, the more screwed Deigo Ferreira is. Either way, this is a must-see prospect. If you're not familiar with Mateusz Rebecki's game, then you have to watch this guy fight on this fight night. You will be impressed. I think he's the best lightweight prospect right now. He's not that young, though. So he needs this win, and he needs to move up the rankings as fast as possible. But let's get on to the next one. Alonzo Menifield versus Carlos Ulberg. I was very tempted to pick Alonzo Menifield to win this one, because we know that Alonzo Menifield can get his ass kicked for 4 minutes and just get one big knockdown to steal the round. That's kind of how he beat Dustin Jacoby, who I picked to beat him. I still think Dustin Jacoby looked a lot better than him, but Alonzo deserved the win because he got multiple knockdowns in different rounds. The thing is, I do believe that Carlos Ulberg is a little bit more dangerous than Dustin Jacoby. He's a little bit more powerful. You have to fear the left hook. He's got one of the best left hooks in the upper weight classes. And I just think he's a little bit more dynamic than Dustin Jacoby, a little bit faster. And he knows based on watching Alonzo Menifield's last fight, if he's seen it, he's got to be on his toes the whole time. He has to be careful because if Alonzo Menifield cracks him on the chin, he could be going to sleep, right? And that's basically the only way in which I see Alonzo Menifield winning this. Now, to be fair, Carlos Ulberg can be taken to the ground. He can be taken down. And Alonzo Menifield does have submissions in his arsenal. He was able to submit Jimmy Crute, which was pretty damn impressive. But I'm going to go with Carlos Ulberg by decision. Okay, I think that Alonzo Menifield is going to be a little bit more on edge because of the left hook and the power coming back in his direction. And he is a lot older. He's getting up there in age. He's crafty. He finds a way to win. And he's durable. He's hard to put away for sure. But I really just trust that Ulberg's going to have the volume and the speed on his side in this one. And I think he's going to take this one by decision. But don't be surprised if Alonzo Menifield knocks him out, because that is always a possibility. Here we go. Joaquin Buckley versus Nursulton Ruziboev. I'm going with Buckley. I'm picking Joaquin Buckley. All right? They must have not known Buck. Remember that? Remember after he finished Vicente Luque? They were saying, bro, Buck was legit. Y'all must have not known Buck. As if, like, he really proved a whole lot. Because Vicente Luque just straight up quit. That was the worst version of Vicente Luque I've ever seen in my entire life. But either way, I actually am picking Joaquin Buckley to win this fight. This is reminding me a whole lot of Sean Strickland versus Abu Smagomedov. Now, I'm not comparing Buck to Sean Strickland. I'm not comparing him at all to Sean Strickland. Okay? But either way, I think that Nursulton Ruziboev, if you look at his career, he's finishing every single opponent in the first round. Bruno Silva, first round KO. Cedric Dumas, eye poke KO, even though it wasn't an eye poke. He eye poked him. He didn't even look that good in that fight. He looked a little bit sloppy. He was throwing the same thing over and over again. It wasn't really landing. It landed after Cedric Dumas got brutally eye poked and tried to signal to the ref to stop the fight. You have to protect yourself at all times, 100%, but he got caught when he was like trying to signal to the ref. And that's the shot that kind of put him down. But every single finish that Nursulton has is in the first. It's hard to find any decisions that this guy has. And I just have a feeling, man, that Nursulton Ruziboev, with the lack of experience that he has, if this thing goes into the second, the third, if it goes late, I think that Joaquin Buckley is going to be able to take over. And I think that one thing that you can count on Joaquin Buckley to have is a good gas tank. Joaquin Buckley can push a pace on his opponents. He's well-rounded. He can mix in takedowns. And I like that because if Nursulton starts to tire out, even though Nursulton probably has decent grappling, if you're tired, the grappling, the wrestling becomes a whole lot harder. That's the type of thing to break you. And Joaquin Buckley was at least able to get a TKO over Vicente. I'm like laughing about that TKO because it's not like he really had the best ground and pound ever. Vicente was just kind of giving it to him. But either way, is this a 5-rounder? Is this a 5-rounder? Let me just see. Let me just check to see if this is a 5-rounder. If it is, that's even more of a reason to pick Joaquin Buckley. Let's see. Buckley versus Ruziboev. I don't see if it's a 5-round fight. I don't think it is. I don't see if it is a 5-round fight. Yeah, I think it's a 3-rounder. Either way, I trust Joaquin Buckley to get this one done. I think if he doesn't get finished in the first round, we're going to see Nursulton Ruziboev kind of tire out a little bit. And I could see Joaquin Buckley either winning by decision or winning by a TKO in the second or third. He's got the momentum. He's fighting in his home city. He's going to have so much support in the building. He's slowly but surely becoming a fan favorite. You know, everyone knows that big press conference moment that he had at UFC 300 asking for the main event. And I just think that the stars are going to align for Buckley. Now, do I think Buckley's that great? I don't think he's that great. Like, I think his power's a little bit overrated. He's not like this one-shot guy, even though people kind of describe him as being like Mike Tyson-esque, right? Because he has like the peekaboo style. And I think that could be dangerous going into this fight because Nursulton can catch Buckley at the end of his punches, similar to how Kevin Holland was catching Buckley at the end of the combinations, or I should say the end of the exchanges, rather. I could see Buckley because he has the in and out style and he's constantly moving his head, bobbing and weaving. He could get caught when he's bobbing or when he's weaving. All right. And I just think that we are going to see a very good battle here. I think we're going to see a good battle. All right. But I'm trusting in Buckley. He's got the fluke ability. He's got the hardcore, man. I told you. He's got the Buck fans, the guys that are sort of like the Bo Nickel wrestling dads that, you know, if you got a fan base out there like Buckley, you just know that it's inevitable that these guys are going to be telling us that they told us so. All right. I just have a feeling if I pick Nursulton Ruziboev, that night I'm going to be dealing with Buckley fans saying, bro, you should have known. Y'all must have forgot. Dude, he's the real deal. I think they're going to be right. I'm picking Buckley. I trust him to win this shit. All right. He's got good output and he's got a lot more experience. If this thing goes into the second or third, I think that experience is going to allow him to take over this fight. And Nursulton just hasn't even been into a second round in forever. All right. He didn't even look that good against Rodrigo Dumas. He didn't look that impressive to me. So I am going to pick Joaquin Buckley to get this one done by a decision or a TKO in the later rounds. Let's get on to the next one. Derrick Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento. I'm picking Rodrigo Nascimento. All right. I think he's a little bit too slick. I think he's a little bit too fast. I think he's a little bit too dangerous, right? This is a guy that's finishing everyone, that's knocking everyone clean out. I'm joking. I'm picking Derrick Lewis. Now, Rodrigo's good, but he's only good against the bottom of the barrel in the heavyweight division. He doesn't have crazy KO power. Yeah, he has some decent grappling, but it's been a minute since he's gotten a finish on the ground. Like, he got a finish over Dontel Mays by submission, and they rematched. Couldn't come close to it, and ended up slugging it out with Dontel Mays, which is just not a good look. I can't pick you to beat Derrick Lewis, on the feet at least, if you're in there for 3 rounds with Dontel Mays slugging it out. Right? And Rodrigo's the type of guy that likes to get into his opponent's faces. He likes to throw punches in bunches, but it's not like we're talking about someone with a crazy height advantage or a crazy reach advantage. They're basically damn near even when it comes to the height and reach. And so that means that Rodrigo's going to be there to hit. He's going to be there in front of Derrick Lewis. He's not the best at playing like the long rangey game. He's not Cyril Gane. He's not Alexander Volkov. And I know Volkov got knocked out. But Rodrigo, I just don't think he's going to be able to be evasive enough. I don't think his footwork is good enough to be able to just outstrike Derrick Lewis for 5 rounds. He's going to need to outgrapple him. And, I mean, the best guy he's finished by submission is Dontel Mays. And I know Derrick Lewis has been submitted before. I know he's had the fuck it moment once he gets taken to the ground sometimes. He kind of just gives up on himself every now and then. But he also has the ability to just get up to his feet. He has the just get up ability. He has the, it doesn't matter how tired Derrick Lewis is in the 4th round. In the 5th round, he's fresh as ever. He's got the best gas tank in human history in the 5th round. All right? I don't know how it's possible, but Derrick Lewis in the 5th round is the most dangerous heavyweight ever. With how he just, you could kick his ass. You could keep him on the ground. You could basically dominate him on the ground, on the feet. You could tire him out. He could be falling over himself going into that 5th round. In the 5th, he's coming out like a freaking marathon runner. He's coming out like Nate Diaz, all right, against Conor McGregor in the 2nd. I don't know how it's possible, but Derrick Lewis has the magical ability to do shit like that. And I just think that if Jilton Almeida's not submitting you, I'm not picking Rodrigo Nascimento to submit you. Okay? Maybe Sergey Spivak did, but Sergey Spivak's kind of like a big oaf. Sergey Spivak can take people down. You know, he's kind of like a big walrus on the ground where he can kind of just overwhelm people. Rodrigo Nascimento is not overwhelming no one outside of the bottom of the barrel in the heavyweight division. I just think it's going to be hard to take down Derrick Lewis. And Rodrigo Nascimento, I can't be the only one seeing this, but he kind of reminds me of like an old school, early 2010s heavyweight. You know, someone that Derrick Lewis would brawl with a little bit and then KO. Or if you were to put Rodrigo back in the 2000s, maybe he's a number 1 contender at heavyweight or something like that, because he has volume, right? And he's got a slick submission game, right? And because of how bad heavyweight was back in the day, he could work his way up. But I don't see him winning. I see Derrick Lewis, who seems to be in better shape these days. I see him getting the job done. And I see him knocking Rodrigo Nascimento out in the 1st round. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Until next time.